Hello there, so it's Michael here with another guitar lesson from Northern Ireland, and this is Into the Mystic by Van Morrison. So nice song this. We need capo on fret 3, and these are just basic open chords, but what's cool about the song and what makes it sound the way it does is the various rhythm things that are going on and some various chord embellishments of basic chords into something a bit more interesting. Now this is based on a live performance I just watched, so I'll put that link in the description. That's what this one is based off, and it sounds much like the recorded version as well. Alright, so chord shapes then. So we need a C chord, but add your pinky finger to the 3rd fret of the high E string. Now it doesn't become like C, add something or anything, it's just a plain C chord. We're just adding another G to the C chord already, so that's all that is. G chord, I'm going to do this kind of folk version of it. You know, any other G is fine, but this will work nicely for some fancy things we're doing later. E minor, whatever way you do yours. Sometimes you could do something called E minor 7. So adding a finger there, that would be a 3rd fret of the B string. And an F chord, so you could do a bunch of things. Not really going to recommend the bar chord for this, although you can do it. Looks like Van Morrison does his that way with the thumb in the bass, which is a bit hard for me to be honest. Or you can do this version, just where you don't have the bar. Or even just playing the middle 4 strings and actually maybe mute that high E string there. Okay, so that's basically the chords. It's being played with what's called 16th notes. So I've got a video on the channel called Understanding 16th Notes. You can look that up in detail if you want actual detail on this stuff. What it means is the usual bar that we have would usually be broken down into like 8 parts for 8th note strumming. That would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you're kind of doubling that now with more movement, so it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... So that's the pulse, basically constantly moving this arm. And then what we're going to do is sometimes miss downs, sometimes miss ups, and that's where you get the rhythm from. So that's all I want you to think about really for strumming. So let me do this nice C chord with the pinky finger. I'm just going to give you the basic rhythm and pulse of the song. So you could really do that for the most part and just take care of the chord changes. Let's look at maybe the most obvious part in the song that you would know from listening to it. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold this C chord shape with that pinky finger added, but take this middle finger off so that we momentarily have that D string open, okay? And this is what we're going to try and do. You're going to play a downstroke, and I always say to students for this, you're really just playing the lower 3 strings of the chord for this. You're not always playing every string in the chord. So I would say just strike the 5th, 4th and 3rd string on that initial down. And then what we're doing over this side is you're going to hammer that middle finger on. And then you get that distinctive sound. There we go. Something like that in there. And then you can start to open up the rest of the chord with the rest of the strumming pattern. Okay, now it does not have to be the same thing every time. You know, think of this as a kind of free flowing kind of guitar playing. It's not always totally accurate and it's not always repeating the same thing over and over. Okay, you can vary it a bit and, you know, don't be too tense about it. Okay, so we've got that hammer-on bit. And then what I suggest is at the end of the bar, of that bar of 16th note strumming, we're going to take that middle finger off again to do a bit of an embellishment. So at the up, down, up to finish the bar off, I would suggest that's a real cool spot to take that finger off. And then you just repeat that would enter the next bar. So if we were to count it out, it would be 1, 2 and a, E and 4 E and a, 1, 2 and a, E and 4 E and a. Now let me just mute everything off and do that rhythm for you. Now that would really take care of most of the parts. The only thing is you'll not have to do that hammer-on thing with the other chords. It's just really on those C chords that you're going to do that. So the intro is just a vamp on those C chords. Then the verse is 4 bars of C, 2 bars of G, and then 2 Cs again. So that's the sequence. So let me just play through that now. You'll see how things start to work. So hopefully that's given you the ideas there that you need to play through the song. The thing is, that's just a guide. You can start to add more ups, take them away, put downs in, take them away. That's the point of this. There's no point in just worrying about every single down and up. Let it flow quite freely. Once you get the basic gist of the rhythm, you can then change it. Now sometimes it looks like Van Morrison is adding this A note on the G string that's fret 2 in that string, which makes it like a G add 9, and add 9 chords always have that lovely sound. And hopefully you can see at the end of that strumming pattern, if I was to go 1, 2 and a, E and 4 E and a, on the 4 E and A is where you can do these cool embellishments. I mean, you can do them anywhere, but sounds really good there. That kind of thing. Sounds good. Also, this would make it like a G sus4 if you add first finger to the first fret of the B string, that is. So you're adding a C note there, and you hear that in all kinds of songs. So that would be a cool embellishment you could do there. So let me do one more playthrough of that verse, and I'm not going to worry and think too much. I'm just going to kind of improvise with these things. Also, I wasn't really thinking about it. If you take the first finger off there on the C chord, that's like C major 7. You know, anything that you know already of that ilk, those kinds of embellishments, just throw them in there. So then the chorus comes, so you've got E minor, F, 2 bars of C, E minor, F, 2 Gs. Keep the same kind of strumming going, and then let me just give you some embellishment ideas for this. So if you hold E minor that way or that way, you can see him add this 3rd fret of the B string sometimes. And just throw it in anywhere, keep that basic pattern going. Then you've got your F. I mean, there are things you can do with this. You could turn it into an F major 7 by making the high E string open. Alright, you could throw that in there. Another cool chord you could do here, F add 9. So if you take like the more basic F major 7 is this, just add your pinky to the high E string and you get that nice chord. And that would work nicely with the C with the pinky there. So all kind of works together there. And then I've already talked about the G's, so let me just give you an off-the-cuff demo of that chorus and I'll throw in some embellishments. And just before I move on, G7 could be a cool chord to add when you're on the last group of a G. G to G7. Always sounds cool. And you can make it a bigger voicing by adding the pinky to the 3rd fret of the B string. That could be cool as well.